And I want to say hello to everyone and welcome. My name is Cindy Gast, and I'll be your Zoom host this evening. I am the president of our Charlottesville, USA dance chapter. And on behalf of our entire board, it's my pleasure to welcome each one of you to our free Zoom class. So tonight we are thrilled to have Edwin Roa joining us again, along with his professional partner, Lynda Petersen. I'd like to take a couple of minutes to introduce them to you. Edwin Roa is a professional dancer, performer, and teacher who devotes his career to the study of partner dance. He has a background in ballet and modern and is trained in ballroom, social, and theater arts. Edwin first began instructing and performing in 1998. He founded Zabor Dance, which is a method of teaching with an emphasis on both the practical how-tos and the philosophy behind them. He is deeply interested in the culture and the improvisational aspect of social dance. His mission is to provide students with the most comprehensive learning experience while developing an appreciation for the culture, history, and musicality of each style. Edwin's artistic endeavors include teaching and performing with the Latin Ballet of Virginia and co-founding and directing the Charlottesville Salsa Club, as well as the Dance Spot. His latest endeavor, the Easy Dance Project, is a free online instructional program offering an in-depth look at various styles of partner dance. Edwin currently works in the Central and Northern Virginia area, offering lectures, demonstrations, workshops, and shows to various studios and higher education institutions, and continues creating his own choreographies for couples and groups at every level. Lynda Petersen grew up dancing ballet, jazz, and tap from the age of 7. She started her ballroom career as a young adult, competing in amateur and pro-am competitions and showcases. Lynda also dances and teaches hip hop and contemporary dance. She is an all-around dancer with a passion for ballroom and rhythm dancing. Lynda has passed prestigious professional exams with DeVita with highest honors and continues to study and test for further exams. In addition to her professional competition, Lynda also instructs and takes students to competitions. Since turning pro, Lynda has been competing in Rising Star and open professional events around the country.
Hi, how are you guys? My name is Edwin Roa. This is my partner, Lynda Petersen.
Hello.
Today we're going to actually spend our time explaining a little bit about the mechanics of Argentine Tango. So what we're going to do is we're going to divide the class into 3 sections. Section 1 is going to be demonstrating what we're going to be working on today, talking specifically about 2 bass patterns that we use all the time. One is known as the 4x4, which is typically done in a 4/4 beat. That's the Tango Salon. And one is a Milonga basic, which is, as its name suggests, is done in the Milonga rhythms, which is actually a 2/4 rhythm. Out of these patterns, we're going to construct a series of exercises and work with some elements. So the second section of the class, we're going to talk about developing the elements in on itself. There are many, but today we're going to play basically with 5 of them. The ocho, the sacada, the gancho, the arrastre, also known as barrida, and the paradas. So those 5 elements we're going to utilize while mixing them up with those first 2 patterns altogether. And then the third section is going to be the actual amalgamation in order for us to deconstruct it, and so for you guys to practice it as well. So off the back, the main thing about Argentine Tango is the realization that we're actually creating something on the fly. So it's all about improvisation movement. What we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about the way we connect to each other. The most important element that we have to talk about is how we connect. So in most European dances, we connect by using the negative forces. That means when we lean away from each other. So if I place my hand on the shoulder blade of my partner, we're going to lean away from each other. So the energy is going outwards from the center. In Argentine Tango, we call it a positive leaning. That means we're leaning towards the center of each other. We're leaning into each other. And this projection invites us to have a much easier connection to the core of the follower, in part making us making it easier for us to feel or sense the directions that we're going to be taking, right? So it's not a negative position, it's actually a positive towards the inside. It's also known as apilar. Apilar means to amount or put together. So it looks like a letter A, right? So I'm gonna, there are many forms of connection. One of the most typical one is known as the milonguero. My elbow is gonna go through the armpit of the lady, and we're going to lean towards each other, creating this like an A-frame position, right? From here, we can start the motion. Regardless of where we're going, we're having this kind of projected action to each other, right? There is a couple of walks to understand, and most of you already know this, I hope. They're known as the projection walk, the elongation walk, and the staccato walk. So projection means that my leg is going to move before my center, and then my center is going to transfer weight. So you're going to see a delay action. There's a 50-50 change of weight into a full transfer of the weight, right? Elongated means that I'm going to straighten the leg, but on top of that, I'm creating a lowering on my base work. So it allows me to drag the foot. So it looks like almost like an ice skate, right? And then staccato, which is the one that we're going to use the most, is when we're using the upper body to create momentum forward and then fall on top of the leg. So these offer 100% transfer of the weight as quickly as possible. The easiest way I can actually let you know about this is kind of like if you ever get the chance to push a wheelbarrow, it's kind of like that. You're going to first use the torso to move in and then use the bottom to push, right? So this is actually one of the basic actions and motions in order to connect to one another. So what we're going to do is we're going to show you the pattern that we're going to work today, right? The whole amalgamation is going to be composed of 4 counts of 8. In the first count of 8, you're going to experience what we know as the 4x4. So what is the 4x4? Means 4 by 4. So what it means is that you're going to use each beat. If we have a 4/4 tempo, each one of the beats is going to use a specific directional point. In Argentine Tango, commonly the guy starts going backwards with his right foot. And the reason is because I want to invite my partner to embrace me rather than me embracing her. So I'm getting close to my partner, I offer the arm, we actually go into that apilado, and then we go back. This is 1, 2, 3, 4. On count of 5, I create a cross step. 5. I'm closing my feet. She's actually crossing. 6, 7, and 8 is the exact same motion that you will do in a waltz, backside together. It's actually known as resolución. So that little portion, 6, 7, 8, is known as resolución. So I'm going to do this pattern for you first, facing you, and then backing. We're going to do them together. So the first part, actually right here, I'm going to start with my right foot free, and I'm doing the leader's part. My first action is going to go backwards. So I'm going to go 1. Step number 2 is going to move to the side. 2. Step number 3, I'm going to go forward in the line. 3. And step number 4 continues forward. 4. On the count of 5, I'm going to close my feet. 5. 6, 7, 8, as we mentioned before, is called resolución, is the last section of the pattern, and it's forward side together. So I'm going with my left foot, forward, side, together. And now I have my right foot free, ready to start the whole thing again. So I'm going to do it this time again, but backing. So we go this way. We have right foot going backwards on 1, sideways on 2, forwards on 3, forwards on 4. Now collecting on 5, forward on 6, sideways on 7, backwards on 8. Good? Now, as far as musical appreciation, it's very subjective. Basically, the leader will take responsibility as to how fast or how slow to dictate the motion according to the sentiment of the music. In this case, I'm going to deliberately do it 1 per beat. So 1 action per beat. I'm going to use this song. It's called Yuma. So it's like, I want you to see if you can hear me on that. Let's see. Can you guys hear me? Hear me, thumbs? Good? Good. So we're going to go First section. Okay. 5, 6, 7, and we go. In 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Good. I'm gonna face you now. We're gonna do it again. Go. 6, 7, and we go. On 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Repeat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Very good. Nice. So this pattern is very, very typical in the 4x4 rhythm. So like what we call tangos, right? So now I'm going to show you guys the follower's perspective on it. So if the gentleman started backwards with his right foot, the consequence is that the lady will commence forward with her left. So I'm going to move front first from the lady's perspective. I would suggest and advise the gentleman to try to understand this pattern because it's going to make a lot more sense to your lead, right? So the left foot is free for the lady. I'm going to go forward on 1, sideways on 2, backwards on 3, backwards on 4. Now on the count of 5, the gentleman is going to push the lady sideways. So this causes this leg to, instead of closing, is crossing the step. So notice my step does not collect, it actually crosses, right? And that is as a consequence of his lead, which we're going to talk a little bit about it. Now we do the resolution, which is backside together. Back, side, close. So we're going to repeat. We go 1, side, 2, back, 3, back, 4, cross on 5, back on 6, 7, and 8. Very nice. Good. So this is known as 4x4, is the follower's perspective. I'm going to do it backwards now. So I have my left foot free and I'm going to start forward first. So go 1, sideways 2, backwards 3, backwards 4, cross on 5, back 6, step 7, and 8. Good. So now I'm going to try to play with the music, same rhythm. Now we'll do it once as a follower's perspective. And after that, I'm going to get together with my partner and we're going to do it this fashion so you guys can see it, right? So we're going to do it first. Here we go. So we're going to start forward first. Left foot 3, 5, 6, 7, and we go. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. One more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Very nice. Now I'm going to do it sideways so you guys can see it. And now I'm going to take the role of the leader. My partner, of course, we're going to need to follow. So we go in 5, 6, 7, and we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and repeat. Go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? So one more time, I'm going to do it this way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Good. Is everybody okay with it? Thumbs? Okay. So here's what we're gonna do. It's kind of hard for me to see who's actually saying yes or no. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna show you the reason why the guy doesn't close. I want you to talk about the frame. So if you, I'm gonna exaggerate a little bit in this case. If I'm doing the guy's perspective, you're gonna notice that on the count of 2, I'm going to move my chest an 1/8 of a turn towards my left. So I'm gonna do this. 1, and on the count of 2, I'm moving 2. So you notice where my thumbs are. Now I'm actually in a 45 angle position. Now I'm going to walk outside on the count of 3, which is kind of like a counter body movement. And 4 comes forward. On the count of 5, you're going to notice that my hands are going to come back to neutral. 5. So I just did this motion on 5. That is the reason why we close and the lady crosses, right? So if she doesn't feel that rotation from the core, there is no need for her to rotate in place, right? So I wanted to watch it again. So I do 1, and I move on 2, leaving my chest behind. Now on the count of 3, my free leg goes outside of her body. 3. On the count of 4, I continue in a normal step. It's almost like a promenade. And then on 5, I'm going to cross my chest. So it comes back to neutral. And then 6, 7, 8 becomes the resolution. So 6, 7, and 8, right? In contrast for the lady, and I'm going to demonstrate this with my partner, you're going to see her back for a second. So watch this. When I first start, you're only going to be able to see half of my body, right? So just half of it, right? When I take the first step backwards, 1, on the count of 2, you're going to be able to see almost my entire body. Now on 3, I'm going outside my partner. 3, and my chest is actually a 45-degree angle. 4 is coming forward, and on 5, I'm going to bring my chest to my center. So that forces the lady to cross the step. And then 6, 7, 8, right? So it's an important thing, especially if, in my opinion, that both the leaders and followers realize that the actions of the footwork, the consequence of your feet, is actually the result of the motion of your upper body. So you got to make sure that it's because of the shoulder that you actually create that cross position, and it's not just based on memory, because in that case it will be 50-50 chance that we're going to actually match each other, right? So I'm going to do it this diagonally way. So we go in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, right? So that figure right there is a very typical type of movement that you will see in all of the milongas around. This is known as 4x4, 4x4, right? A second figure that you're gonna know a lot about is music based on milonga. So Tango Salon is a 4/4 beat rhythm. So that means the composition of the music is divided into 4 counts before every accent. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Milonga usually is a 2x4 rhythm. That means that you're going to have a heavy accent every 2 beats. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, right? Now, these 2 rhythms actually kind of encourage the dancers to move differently. So in one of them, the 4x4, the one that we just experienced, it used 8 counts of music in order to come back to the cycle. In this one, we're only going to use 4 beats to come back to the cycle. And it's pretty simple. It actually resembles a lot of the foxtrot. So now, again, the gentleman is going to start with his right foot. Right foot is going to start forward on 1. Second beat goes forward again on 2. And the 3 and 4 go side together. 3, 4. And then we repeat again. Forward on the right, forward on the left, and then side together. So this portion right there, every 4 counts, that's called the milonga basic. Now, what is typical to encounter in the milonga, we don't step straight to our partners. So I don't walk in front of my partner. What I do in the milonga basic is I go outside my partner. And again, I start with the right. So I'm going to go outside on 1, inside on 2, and then side together. Outside on 1, inside of 2, and side together, right? So I'm going to do it one more time facing this way. We go in 1, 2, 3, close 4, in 1, 2, 3, close 4, in 1, 2, 3, close 4. So if you notice, our movement goes towards the outside. So that's known as the milonga basic. So for you guys to recognize the rhythm, we're going to play first 1 4/4, and you're going to notice the music is clearly divided in 4 counts. So we have this right here. Count bass, we go like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So if I'm going the 4/4, we go 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, four. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? So they can go rather fast, right? In a milonga basic, it sounds more like this. Now, I just want you to hear it. You don't have to do it with us, but it'll be like this. Can you hear the difference? 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So I'm going like this. I have 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Right? So we go there. 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Yes, good. Right? So those particular patterns develop due to the musicality behind it, right? And notice that as a dancer, you will have the prerogative of choosing how fast or how slow to move into your basics, right? Now, it doesn't matter the speed. What matters is the comfort. If your partner doesn't feel comfortable feeling those momentum of those changes of direction, it will be actually, almost a guarantee you won't have a dance partner to dance with. So you better make her happy by create comfort first, right? So now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna actually show you the pattern that we're gonna be working today, right? 4 counts of 8. In my first count of 8, I'm gonna use the same 4x4, but I am going to open it at the end. So I'm doing 1, 2, 3, 4, cross 5, 6, 7, and instead of closing the 8, I'm gonna go backwards on 8. So my partner goes forward. At this point, I'm gonna introduce the ochos to my partner. An ocho is a figure 8. So I'm gonna encourage her to go across my body once, across my body 2. The next section, I'm gonna do a sacada, what actually I'm going into the ocho. Sacar means to take out. So as the lady goes forward, I'm gonna go in between the football. Then she's gonna cross 180 degrees, and I'm gonna use another sacada in between her legs. Then I'm gonna face her, and I'm gonna do this resolution. Make sense? So that'll be the second count of 8. I'm gonna do it twice again. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Right? So that's the second 8. In my third count of 8, I'm going to use the milonga basic. So, by the way, don't get scared. We're going to break this down as we go. I just wanted you to see the whole figure, right? So, on the count of 3, I'm going to start with the milonga basic. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, close 4, step 5, gancho on 6, ronde, and now the lady is going to walk in between my legs, making me do a gancho on 7, and then sacada on 8, and I end up facing her, right? We're going to finish with arrastres. Arrastres is when I actually take the lady's footwork and I literally sweep it around the floor, right? I'm going to close my step to her footwork. That's called parada, or also sandwich. Some people call it sandwich. And then I go back for her to do a rotation around me and then come back to a basic. And now from here, I can start the whole thing again. So the whole figure is going to be composed of 4 counts of 8, right? First count is going to have a 4x4 with an open ending. The second count of 8 goes with ochos into sacadas, and we finish with the resolution. The third count of 8 starts with the milonga basic into ganchos for both, from the leader to the follower and from the follower to the leader. The last one is actually going to be an arrastre, and it's going to syncopate the Edwin, the sandwich, in order to actually arrive on the second count of 8. So I'm going to count it together. I'm going to do it this way. Again, don't freak out. I'm going to break it down. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, open 8. In 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Outside. 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, 7, 8, and I'm back into my milonga, right? So what you saw is the end product, right? We're gonna dance it once with the music, and then we're gonna start explaining the dynamics of each one of these elements, putting it back together, right? So let me just put right here. So this would be the full figure in the way we would dance it normally. So again, the velocity of the step depends upon the student or the dancer itself. So what I want you to do is to kind of challenge yourself to change the tempos. You don't have to do it all in a straight beat. You can do it as a hesitation. You can do it as a syncopation, whatever seems that is more appropriate to the sentiment of the sound. So be careful, because when we dance tango, we connect to the music a lot. It's not just demonstrating footwork. In fact, footwork is a consequence of what your upper body is expressing, right? So keep that in mind. So the elements that you will see in this figure are called ocho, sacada, gancho, arrastre, or barrida. Those are the same thing. Barrida is the perspective of the leader. Arrastre is the perspective of the follower, but it's the same pattern, right? And then the parada or sandwich, right? So let's start by decodifying what an ocho is. An ocho is a figure 8, right? So what it implies is that when I'm making a step forward, you're going to notice that my partner is going to introduce rotation to the torso. So this changed the direction of my leg. So if I go forward and my partner, my leader, turns my shoulder, I'm going to rotate the bottom, and it actually makes me draw a figure 8 on the floor. 1 and 2 and 3. And the idea is I'm trying to get as quickly as possible onto that leg. When you have that A-frame position, it makes it so much easier for you to achieve that position. So this is the reason why we encourage the staccato walk. So this is what I mean by the right way to do it. If I go forward, my chest arrives on top of the leg, I pivot. My chest arrives on top of the leg, I pivot. So there is this moment that I collect the foot. It's as if I walk forward, step open, collection, open, collection, right? So if I go open, collection, open, collection. So you notice there is a delay. And that delay is important because it's what the guy or the leader will actually play as or use as a game, right? So an ocho is nothing more than an overturned walk. It's a forward walk or backward walk with an overturn. So an exercise you can do is you can start with your right foot free. You can start walking forward 2 steps. So we're gonna go step 1, step 2. Now I'm gonna count in, 3, in, 4. Every time you hear the N is the shoulder. N is gonna move your shoulder to the side. So N, 3 will be the step. N is the shoulder, 4 will be the step, right? So let's try that one more time. So 2 steps forward, and then we're actually doing into the arch. Starting with our right foot, we go in. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Right? So you notice my chest arrives first. Try not to do this. And sending the leg and then the body, because that's called a projection. And what happens is that it actually will create a whole set of issues for our movement and dynamic. If you have a partner, the way to experience is by the leader walking backwards. And I'm going to use what we call a practice frame. When my hand goes to the elbow of the lady, and I'm going to let her rest on top of my arm. So I open my arm in this position. I'm going to go backwards with my left foot as a leader. So I'm going to do in 1, 2. On the end, I'm going to stay in place. I'm just going to move the shoulder in. And now I'm not moving, I'm moving her. 3 and 4 in. Right? So that I can repeat. 1, 2 and 3 and 4 in. If I decide to go forward, now we do a back ocho. 1, 2 and 3 and 4 in. 1, 2 and 3 and 4 in. 1. Got it? So we're experimenting how far to take the shoulder rotation in order to obtain a result that will be desirable for the alignment, right? Now, keep in mind, again, this is like learning how to paint. So it's up to you how far you want to take the lines, right? So it takes just a little bit of dexterity to try to play between one another. So these are called ochos. What is a sacada? Sacar means to take out. So if I have an object on the floor and I want to take it out of its resting position, I will create a physical contact in order to manifest that rotation. So the easiest way to explain it will be like this. So let's say I have a chair and I want to move it, right? I don't want to kick it out of the way because the only one who is going to get hurt is me. Now, and if it is my partner, she's going to slap me. So I don't want to do that. The idea is actually create a position where I can create leverage. So I want you to notice this. My free leg is going to go in between the center of the object. By the time I replace weight, the action of me changing my weight is going to push the shed away. So this is constituting a sacada. In the perspective of the dance, what I'm doing is I'm moving around my partner's body. So there are many ways to create sacadas, but let's say I'm doing an ocho. So I'm going to take the first ocho for the way my partner moves around. And you notice there is this little window right here. So that is a potential for a sacada. If I let her go, this is creating another window, right? So leaders become aware of this spacing. If the lady changes full weight, there will be no risk of injury of any kind, right? I'm going to the free leg, right? So those are forward sacadas. I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you notice, I'm making physical contact with the shin, but it's not a kick. Don't ever inflict any kind of pain to your partner, right? The idea is just create a leveraging momentum. There are many ways to create sacadas. And when we define forward sacadas versus back sacadas, those are actually referring from the leader's perspective. So if I do a back sacada to my partner, means that my body is going to go backwards. As it's going backwards, it's creating the displacement, right? So a back sacada means that my body will rotate to actually create a backwards movement. 1, 2, and 3, 4. So that was a back sacada, right? Sacar against means to take out, right? So ocho is figure 8. Sacada means taking out. So it's going to be forward or backwards. Good. So the next one is called the gancho. The gancho is a hook, right? So basically, if you have a hanger for your clothing, that top part of the hook, that's called gancho, right? So that gancho, what implies, is anything that curves from the joint of the knee. So if I actually hook my own leg, this is called a gancho to myself, right? So everybody try that for a second, right? Now I want to see it on the side. So I'm swinging the leg until it makes contact and actually creates that flipping position. I'm going to show you what the common mistake is. Most people do this, right? Kind of looks the same, right? But what happens? This is a created one, is fabricated, meaning that there was no connection on my thigh. I just decided to randomly bend my knee, right? If I bend my knee, that means that my back muscle is being connected, is being engaged, which is not going to be a good, easier connection to your partner. Your partner does not understand what your body is trying to do, but he can actually predict what gravity will do. So this is a game with gravity, not memory, right? This is what makes it easier for us to improvise. So that means that if I'm going to do a proper gancho, I have to allow the back of my thigh to make contact with the front of my standing leg and then release it. So it is the connection here what makes it happen. So if I use my hand this way and I decide to stop it, most people do this. So you're seeing the obstacle, but you're not letting it touch you. You're just pretending to go into it. I would suggest to let it touch before it creates the momentum. Now that's the best way to understand ganchos, right? In that case, we can actually go back and forth into it. So let's say I'm going to do a gancho in my partner's position. So the easiest one is when she's going backward. If she's here, and I'm going to, let me do it this way. So if you notice, in this case, she has the forward foot free. If I use my leg and I go in between her footwork, when my thigh touches the knee, it creates pressure on the thigh of the lady, which encourages the leg to swing across. That's what creates a gancho. So she doesn't know how many I'm going to do. She just feels it, right? So that's one version of a gancho. Another gancho is the ones that I can manipulate. So, for example, if the lady goes backwards, I can go in between her footwork and now take her leg, and now I create a gancho. If I sustain it, it's called a pendulum, right? Like the pendulum, right? So a gancho is a hook. Now we have an ocho, which is a walk with a rotation. Sacada means to take out, and gancho means to flex or to actually bend and hook underneath on the free leg. Important to recognize there is another one that's called enganche. We haven't done it here, but basically is when your bottom connects. So on count number 5 of your 4x4, that could be constituted an enganche, meaning 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This little hook on the bottom is called enganchar, which means to fasten. Fasten, right? Gancho is to hook. Enganchar means to fasten. Good. And now the last one that we're actually the next one we're going to talk about is called arrastre. Arrastrar means to drag. So, sorry, 1 second. If I take an object and I push it to the floor, right? And I want to move it, I will place my body position to the side, and I will gently create a dragging position. So what this little box is experiencing is called arrastre. It's being dragged, right? So I'm dragging the box, right? So this is called arrastre. You notice there is no such a thing as a gap between my leg and the box. There is no gap. We're always connected, right? So by the way, this is a good skill exercise to do at home if you want to practice it, right? What most people do is this: they send too much power and the box separates, right? So imagine if that's the leg of your partner. I'm just kicking her out of the way, right? So you have to learn to create that dragging position. The perspective of the leader into the arrastre is called barrida. Barrida means a little broom is when you're sweeping. It's a sweep. So barrer is actually the perspective of the leader, making that action happen. Good. So in our choreography, we actually have that barrida on the back step. So watch. The lady, it takes one step to the side and she goes backwards. And now I'm going to connect my foot onto the outside. And what I'm doing is I'm creating a suspending position for the lady. I'm going around her as I'm doing the drag. My footwork goes across without her. And then I'm going to use the leg to drag it around the axis. Dragging it around the axis. Does that make sense? So I'm just dragging. You can do as many as you want. In my experience, anytime that I go over 4, my partner is already giving me a little signal saying like I'm bored, right? So you might want to actually change your dynamic at that point. But it is important to realize that this is what causes that momentum, that motion. The lead at this point does not come from the top. It comes from the fact that my thighs are so tied up together that now it takes my hip. Coming to that perspective, it's important to notice that what we're asking the ladies is to relax the free leg, right? Relaxing the leg means from the hip joint down, not from the hip up. If you relax this, if I do an arrastre, this is what happens actually. So I want you to notice. I want you to watch the lady's side, right? So she takes a step backwards and I go around. If she relaxes this side, her pelvis is going to overturn and now she's going to lose balance and we're both fighting to get it up, right? So from here to here, the tone has to be contained. But from the hip joint down, it should be entirely free. Does that make sense? Now, it's a hard concept to actually grasp, especially for the ladies. And trust me, I feel for you guys because it is hard to get in there. But there is only another dance that kind of like encourages this type of dissociation, and that one is belly dance. So in belly dancing, ladies are actually taught to engage one hip, one glute, while the other one is disengaged. And getting that dissociation is quite difficult. So I will say it takes time, but keep at it, it's going to improve, right? So again, this is called an arrastre. So I'm going to take a step to the back for the lady. I'm connecting my foot and I'm actually moving it around the axis, right? This makes it very simple for the lady to walk around. The ending is actually what we call the parada. Parar means to stop abruptly, right? So if my partner is walking backwards, you notice there is a moment that if she steps, my free leg is actually connected to the instep of my partner, right? So as it connects, I can very quickly close my feet, and now she's trapped. She's not always able to move. So this is called a parada, right? So the ending of that arrastre is actually a parada. So I'm starting my arrastre, and let's say I'm going all the way around, and I decide to create a parada in order to exit and mark the ending of the figure. Make sense? Again, these are elements you kind of want to play with, and there is no such a thing as one way to do them. You can do them in any way, in any speed, but what matters most is it has got to be comfortable. If it's not comfortable, it's not worth actually going through the effort. Remember, we're going to a party to have fun, not to like make a mess out of our head, right? So we're going to put the whole thing together. So first, let's review the elements. First one is called the ocho, which is a forward step with a rotation. If I go forward, it's called forward ocho. If I decide to go behind, it's still called the back ocho, right? The second one is called sacar. It means that every time that I have a free opening, and my partner goes in between, she's going to create the sacada, and we can create any element out of it. Next one is called the gancho. Gancho means a hook. So I'm going to create a connection and make sure that you actually connect the thigh before you bend, right? It could be either leg, right? The last one is actually the arrastre or barrida. It's called arrastre from the perspective of the follower. It's called barrida from the perspective of the leader. And we exit with a parada. That's what actually marks our ending, right? So figure number one. Start with the 4x4 with an open ending. That means that the resolution is not going to close, it's going to open. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sorry, the 5 is across. We go 1, 2, 3, 4, cross 5, 6, 7, open on 8. That's first figure. Let's try it again. I'm going to do it backwards. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, cross 5, 6, 7, 8. Got it? So that's the first count of 8. We're going to do it one more time. I'm going to do it facing this way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, open on 8. Nice. Last time. In 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Good. So that's figure number 1, the first count of 8. In the second count of 8, we're going to introduce the ochos. The first 2 are going to be 2 ochos for the lady. The next count, on the count of 3, I'm going to take the first sacada for the guy. And I'm going to start with gentlemen with our right foot into the first sacada. There is going to be a sacada on count 3 and on count 4. And I'm going to show you really quick. So we're starting the ocho and we're finishing this position, right? So ladies are going to go across once and twice. So that's one full ocho for the lady. On count of 3, she goes forward and I'm taking the first sacada. On count 4, I'm moving around and I'm making the second sacada. On count 3, I make a half turn and I do the resolución. 6, 7, 8. So let's repeat. We're in this position. We go 1, 2, sacada, 3, sacada, 4, half turn, 6, 7, 8. Got it? One more time. Now, I want you to notice the amount of rotation. If I'm facing that wall, I'm going to end up facing the same wall. So I have this position to enter. We go 1, 2. I'm going forward, 3. On 4, I'm making a half a turn and I create that connection on the left. Another half turn on 5 and then resolution 6, 7, 8. One more time. We go from here and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm going to face this way so you guys can see it in a different angle. We go in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Very nice. One last time. In 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So that's called the sacadas, right? Now, on the section 3, I'm going to introduce the milonga basic. And from the milonga basic, we're going to do the ochos with the ganchos. Ganchos from the leaders to the followers, and then from the followers to the leaders. Got it? So this is section number 3 out of the 4 sections. So I'm going to start with my right foot free. And my first action is walking outside my partner. This is the milonga basic. So this is 1, 2. I'm going to syncopate 3 and 4. 3 and 4. And if you can see, my thigh is connected to her thigh. And by me opening the heel, it pushes the lady into the first gancho. Right? So this little trigger or the knee is what crosses the gancho of the lady. Right? So I'm going to do it one more time so you can see it. So I start with my right foot. This is 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm doing the gancho on 5, release 6 with the pivot, and now the lady is in a position to enter into the sacada for the guy. So now she's the one pushing my leg. 6, 7 is a sacada for me. 7, and then 8, she's going to end up in a position set for an arrastres. That will be the last section, right? So up to here is the third section, which is actually the milonga. We go right foot again. 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and hold. Good. I'm going to do it this way. Right foot is free. I'm going outside. Ladies, start with the left. 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1. So if you notice, the guys don't really travel too much in that section. We actually remain almost orbiting around the same area. So I want you to see it again. We're going to do it this way. Right foot free, left foot free for the lady. 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1. Got it? So at the end, we end up in this position. You notice I ended on 1. That's the first beat of the last figure, right? So one more time, I'm going to do it this way. Section 3, we go 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1. Yes, good. So that section 1 end up with the prep for our arrastres or barridas for the leader's perspective, right? So section number 4 and last section. When the lady goes backwards, right, I'm going to be moving around. So she arrives and we set the movement on the count of 1. So that means that my first motion is going to be on 2. For the guys, we're going to move on the even numbers. Ladies are going to react on the odd numbers. So I move on 2, and I do the arrastre on 3. I move on 4, and I do the arrastre on 5. I'm going to do the parada in 6. So the parada was a syncopated count. So I'm going to close in 6. The lady is going to go now forward 7, step 8, and now our right foot is free, ready to start the entire figure again. So I'm going to do the last section again. So we're going to go from here. So the lady is in the parada. So I'm going to do count 2, arrastre on 3, count 4, arrastre on 5, close in, back on 6, she goes forward 7, 8, and I'm able to start from the beginning, right? At this point, do not worry about embracing. Just think about each step, being able to find your center. The most common mistake is that we do not change our weight. So even though we're sending it to the right position, we're not able to execute the pivots because we're not able to complete your center. So it's important to actually figure all the center has to be transferred, right? So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna connect the whole thing, right? 1 is the milonga with an opening. So I'm sorry, 4 por 4. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, cross 5, 6, 7, open 8. Section 2, ochos. 1, 2, sacada on 3, 4, 5, 6, revolution 7, and 8. Section 3 is the milonga. 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1. Section 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, 7, 8. So if you notice, the amount of rotation depends upon any one of you. If you guys, you can overturn, you can underturn. For the purpose of the class, I'm trying to actually keep it very even and simple so you guys can appreciate the movement easier. So I'm going to do it again. You notice I'm going to start facing this wall. Hopefully, we're going to end up facing that one. So 180 degrees. So we have in 1, 2, 3, 4, cross 5, 6, 7, open 8, in 1, 2, sacada, 3, sacada, 4, 5, 6, 7, and milonga, go 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, 7, 8. Right? Now I'm going to start it this way. 5, 6, 7, go. In 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, open 8, 8, 1, 2, sacada, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, milonga, 1, 2, 3, and 4, gancho, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, close, 6, 7, and 8, and 1, 2, 3, and go on, right? Is everybody okay with it so far? Kind of, sort of, maybe, do you want to try it with the music? I'm going to put...
Hey, Edwin, this is Cindy. I just wanted to let you know it is 8:02 p.m.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I think going with the music would also be awesome.
Perfect. We're going to do it with the music, and we're going to try it in a street tempo. That means every beat is going to be one rhythm, one accent in the sound, right? Every step is one accent. So we have... And 5, 6, 7, and we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2. Oh, sorry, I did this a kind of too early. Let's one more time. 5, 6, 7, go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, and 4, 8, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, 7, 8, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1, 2, 3, 4, out. All right. All right, so very quickly, I'm just going to open the floor for questions. Do you guys have any questions by any chance? Please send that to Cindy, and she will actually report upon everybody. Was it clear? Is there a part of it that you would like us to address a little bit more?
I don't see any questions right now. We also will be letting everybody know your contact information. So if they have questions after, they can get in touch with you as well.
That sounds perfect. Actually, by the way, we're going to actually be organizing different like talleres or workshops. And we're going to do it through our website as well. So if you can actually promote us, it's going to be Sabor Dance. So you can visit us on our Facebook page. It will be easier that way. And you guys are all welcome to attend as well. We're going to have workshops in different styles, especially club dances. Talking about Argentine Tango, also bachata, also salsa, a little bit of maybe zouk, and opening up to different styles altogether, including West Coast swing as well.
I really like to thank all of you for joining us tonight. We're so thrilled that you joined us. Secondly, USA Dance Charlottesville provides a way for us to show additional support for our teachers. We provide contact information to you, including donation information, for each instructor following each of our free online Zoom classes. We make it easy for you to privately send individual contributions to support these dedicated teachers as you choose. So you can mail a check or use PayPal to send a contribution to Edwin using the information which I'm about to copy into the chat window. And we will also publish it on our website and on our Facebook page. And you can always email us if you want, if you need it directly. So we'll publish that also afterwards. We will share the video as soon as we get it processed and ready, and it will be on our YouTube channel. And you'll also see on our YouTube channel, last May, Edwin did our very first Zoom social like this after the pandemic shut everything down. So you can see his salsa class there as well. So we'll let you know as soon as that's ready. And you can subscribe to our YouTube channel and turn the notifications on, and you can then be alerted to our growing collection of these free online dance classes.